I'm Delaney Conant, and I'm the host of Energy Equalizer. I help others become the best versions of themselves and help create the right mindset for people to have a relationship with their self. On this podcast, you will hear about all things positivity, relationships, mindset, business, and more. If you're looking to live a fulfilling life and reach your fullest potential, this podcast is for you. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you a part of my audience. What's up, Energy Equalizer? Today I have a special guest. He's been able to transform his life from the lowest of the lows to a loving family man with a great job and a side business. My cousin, Austin Myers. I'm super excited to have you on here today. So just for everyone who doesn't know you, briefly give an insight on what your life has looked like so far.
Well, my life so far has looked like a bunch of ups and downs. If you could imagine, it's a big roller coaster. I had a bunch of highs and a lot of low lows.
Yeah.
Right now, we're kind of on the up and up, coming from the lowest to the highest point. So it's been a journey.
Yeah, for sure. So what was your past exactly for those who don't know?
Um, well, my past started out uh, as a good kid through high school, pretty good athlete, sports, school, till about high school, and then I kind of started going off the path.
Yeah.
Uh, Started drinking in high school, smoking weed, doing all the normal stupid high school stuff.
Yeah.
So,
So how old were you when your drug addiction started?
so I would say it started in probably high school, probably my senior year. Upon graduation, I didn't know that I was addicted at the time. Um, Kind of just started off as being an athlete with pain meds, getting hurt playing sports.
Yeah.
Um, and it just kind of slowly went into there to being an adult at like 22, 23 when I realized that I had a problem. So,
So how does a guy with a loving family and being a good kid in high school, how does that type of person get addicted to drugs, do you think?
I'd say it 90% is the people you surround yourself with. Um,
100%.
yeah, I had, good friends growing up, good people. Don't get me wrong, some of them not so good. Um, but yeah, started off like recreational, you know, like I said, having like shoulder pain or whatever from wrestling or baseball into, going to a party on the weekend and then somebody bringing it along and they're your friend. They're like, oh, here, try this. And yeah. And then it just kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah. So do you think there was a link between your drug addiction and mental health, or do you think it was just strictly the typical pain meds from an injury?
I'd say it started off as the typical pain meds for injury. Um, Later on down the road, I feel like it definitely, uh, my mental health and everything kind of played a big part in it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, from early on, I'd say about my senior year in graduation is when I lost a couple people that were close to me, and it kind of I fell back on that as a crutch to
Yeah.
kind of like numb the pain, and that's where from that point forward, I'd say it was probably more mental health than you know the
Mm,
sports pain or whatever.
yeah. Can you give like a timeline of when this all played out up until present?
So I'd say 2008 is when I graduated. Um, was partying till about 2010 and moved out on my own. And then so once you're an adult, you can do whatever you want and not have
Yeah.
nobody telling you anything. Uh, so it kind of went from there. It didn't really progress too bad. Um, from there, it was 2012. Um, I was actually I had it planned and scheduled to get married. Ended up not working out. So then that kind of played. I used that as an excuse. Um, 2013, I actually met my current wife, Morgan. Um, we hit it off great. It was cool. She knew, like I smoked and stuff and drank, and that wasn't really a big deal. She had no idea about, any of the abusive pain meds or any of that. And so Um, yeah, that was kind of hidden from her on my part. Ended up coming back and bite me in the ass. I wish I'd have never done it, but we got married in 13. Let's see. Then we had our daughters in 2015. And at this point, it was pretty much full blown. Uh, didn't think it was an issue, but it was an issue. Started, having repercussions in my career, in jobs I was doing, in my relationships, whether that be with like my sister, my mom, or Morgan. Um, and yeah, that kind of 2015 is probably when it all fell apart and kind of blew up. So yeah, that was um, 2015. Yeah, so I got arrested for my first time. Um, that was an interesting story. Um, was doing stupid shit. Uh, thought I was slick, getting away with stuff. Was stealing from people. Like thought I was good. Thought I was getting away with everything, and then
Yeah.
got brought in for questioning. And I went because I was trying to play it off like everything was cool, and you know, ended up getting arrested, sitting in jail for 3 months the first time, I think. Um, coming out on house arrest in like 2016. In that short stint that I was in jail, we lost our grandma. Um, I was actually in there and that happened. Wasn't allowed to leave. Wasn't allowed to, you know, see her at all. So that hit me pretty hard. And then
Yeah.
not even 2 weeks later, I lost my cousin while I was in there who had overdosed. Um, yeah. So I came out on house arrest pretty messed up emotionally and
Yeah.
mentally. Um, yeah, I was on house arrest, still doing the same old stupid shit. I wasn't um, abusing drugs or like smoking weed, but I was drinking every day and just doing that because that's what I could get away with. And that went on until 2018. So 2018, I was still on probation, um, living up in Fort Wayne, and violated probation because I kept partying, didn't care,
Yeah.
um, kept making up excuses that, you know, um, Morgan and I had split up, that was a reason and an excuse for me to keep, wallowing in my own self pity. Kept telling myself that, she didn't like me, she didn't love me, didn't want me to, be around my kids, which the whole time it was just me telling myself that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because at the end of the day, she did still love me and, care for me. She just didn't care for the person that I was and the things that I was doing. So now looking back, I totally understand. I don't hold none of that against her. I was a jackass
Yeah.
and was really selfish as far as that goes. Um, and so when I violated in 2018, I violated probation. Um, I violated twice actually. Violated once. They gave me like, a chance to redeem myself since I'd never been in trouble. And then uh, just was at a point where I said screw it and didn't care. And so I violated again. They sent me to prison. Um, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. So during all that time, did you ever hit rock bottom, or like what was the lowest point in your life?
Uh, well, the funny thing about rock bottom is you think you've hit it and you can actually go farther than what you thought what rock bottom was.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, rock bottom is probably around 2017 into 18, um, when I just kept violating probation. I really didn't care what happened. I just kept doing, yeah, bad things, hardcore drugs, not like anything recreational or anything anymore. It turned into a full blown like addiction and just being careless.
Yeah.
So
Did you know it was a low point then, or did you just keep going on doing what you were doing?
Both. I knew I was at a spot where it was going to be hard to come back from. Like I said, a lot of it I tried justifying with, grandma passing and then Blake passing. Um, and then at the same time, I just wanted to continue partying. I really didn't care. I felt like I didn't have anything left to lose. Um, I wasn't seeing, my twins or anything like that, which was on me again. Um, so I just felt like I had nothing going for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just kind of let it all come down, just crumble down around me. So
Yeah. Was there open conversation about your addiction, or did you try and hide it?
so I tried hiding it majority of the time. I would say about like so at the beginning, like 2015-ish, um, when it all kind of started to start crumbling, I had sat down with Morgan and we had a conversation like a heart to heart. Like I was letting her know like, hey, this is what's going on. Like I'm addicted. I don't know what to do. I'm not sure how to handle it. Um, but then I also never took steps to like try to resolve the problem. So like I mean I acknowledged the fact, but at the same time I didn't take any steps necessary to try to get out of it. Um, and some of that being is just I just didn't. And then I also at the same time I had Michaela, my sister, like you know, um, being my sister, growing up with her, we were real close, and like we both did the same things together. And I mean, so yeah, like I don't blame her for doing it, but like we weren't good for each other when it was like that. Um, and so yeah, I never admitted it to anybody and like I never went to rehab or anything. So my rehab was going to jail. Like
Yeah.
I just went to jail and kept getting in trouble, and that would be my rehab. I'd go in there, clean out, and then come back out and just go on to the same bullshit.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, do you think with an addiction, a change of environment helps in any way? Like, do you think for people who do go to rehab or for you, jail, like they're not doing what they're doing and they feel on top of the world, and then when they get out of those situations, they go back home where it was all began. Do you think that that's why people relapse is because of the environment?
I would say that's a really big part in it. Um, I'd say that's probably 75%. I'd say the other 25% is you have to be willing to change and want to make that change. And the only reason I say that, any other time I'd have said it's probably 100% your environment. But for me, I'm in the environment now, not the same people or anything, but I'm in the same hometown that it all started. And I,
Mm.
did something over here with this person, or I passed people that, I was doing that life with, and it doesn't affect me now. But back then, yeah, like 100% it's your environment.
Mhm. Well, the important thing though is the comeback, the redemption, and from all of this, because that's one hell of a journey for sure. So, how did you first turn your life around? Like, what was the pivot point?
So the pivot point didn't actually happen until 2019. So really just a couple years ago. Um, I had tried quitting on my own, recovering, it would last for a month, 2 months, or while I was on probation until I was off. And then, I just go back to the same thing, smoking weed or whatever. It didn't really turn around until um, November, October 31st of 2019. I was actually in jail up in Allen County, and that was the last time I was in jail. Um, where I pleaded out for probation, and then 2 days later, I had called home to mom, and she told me to like sit down, take a seat, and so I knew something bad happened, and Grandpa was declining in health at that time, so I was like, is Grandpa okay? Is he gonna be all right? And she's like, no, it's not Grandpa, and I was like, I didn't know what to think, because Michaela had actually just went to rehab, and yeah, and she told me that Michaela passed away,
Yeah,
and yeah, that sucked.
for sure. And it sucks that it's what had to happen for that to, like turn your life around. But yeah, it's so obviously with that's a huge struggle. I mean, that was your sister. And
Yeah.
so what was the one thing that kept you going when everything else failed? Like, what was your light?
Um, I'd have to say Morgan and the girls for one, and then my mom. I couldn't do that to her. I
Yeah.
couldn't, you know, let her have two kids pass away from addiction and overdosing or whatever. But yeah, Morgan was definitely the number one key player in that, which is crazy because like the whole time we were apart, we didn't really talk. I mean, we stayed in contact here and there. She would let me see the girls like if I was doing good and stuff, but we didn't really talk or have any plans of like getting back together or ever talk about anything like that. Once we split up, we just kind of split up. And what's crazy is like, I don't know if she reached out to my mom or my mom reached out to her to like see the twins. And so then they kind of like had a relationship that started. And so while I was in jail, before Michaela passed, like I was on the phone talking to my mom and she's like, "Hey, somebody wants to talk to you." I was like, "Okay." And it was Morgan on the phone. And I was like, "What the hell?" And she was just, just joking with me. Looking at me all crazy. But she was just joking with me, and like to me that like caught me off guard because we hadn't talked or anything like that. So that to me was like a sign like, okay, well maybe, maybe we can work things out. And when I came home after Michaela passed away, she like, if it wasn't for her, I probably would have went right back to the same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome that like you can have that support and that you have a partner, your forever partner, hopefully.
Yeah.
That that's just like a reminder, like, you guys are teammates, for the rest of life. So that's
Yeah,
awesome
for
that
real. Yeah, and that's, I mean, like I knew she loved me, but like that solidified the fact that like she was there for me no matter what. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because even through all that, she still, forgave me and believed in me, and now she's still here supporting me and believing in me. So
that's awesome. True
yeah,
love
it's
right
crazy.
there. So anyone who has an addiction has something, and they may not know what that is, but they have something. So do you know what that is for you, like purpose wise?
To keep me going, you mean? Like,
Yeah, like they have
um,
something purpose wise.
yeah. So my main purpose is for my family, and then I also just want to prove everybody wrong that
Mm-hmm.
you can turn your life around. You can go from being some piece of crap, like piece of crap citizen that people look down on, or you know talk behind your back or whatever, and say like, oh, he's not going to do anything, or he's just worthless. And like that's kind of like the drive behind, like I want to be successful and show my girls that like you can turn anything around.
For sure. So how old were you when you figured that out?
I would have to say like 29. Yeah. Like not until damn near 30s.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's journey is different, and I mean, it happened when it was supposed to happen, and that's like, So you've made it really far. What's your vision now? What does the perfect life look like to you?
Perfect life right now looks like, have my family. We have a nice home now. We're building a life for our girls that we never had. Taking vacations and um, being financially secure where, if we want to go take a vacation, in the fall time or go to Tennessee or something, we can and not have to worry about it. But also, I want to start investing in their future as well as our future as a family. And right now, that looks like, dipping my toes in real estate as far as, finding properties to invest in and getting rental properties and stuff like that. So,
And where are you on your journey with your business and real estate investing?
So right now we're just in the baby steps. Just started February of this year. Um, I went ahead and made my LLC, uh, filed it with the state, and you know, just taking each day at a time. Got a couple things in the works right now that I actually have a couple meetings here in the next couple weeks, talking with some people, and hopefully getting some things uh, in my possession. So yeah, it's just the beginning. So I'm pretty
Yeah,
excited.
it's awesome. So, have you had your first sale? And if you haven't, what are your plans, like steps to get there?
So actually, I haven't had my first sale, but I'm actually hoping to acquire a duplex here in a couple weeks. That started 3 months ago. I had reached out to a realtor I know and talked to him saying, hey, can you talk to the owner, see if he wants to sell it and actually fund the whole thing, because I can go get money for it. But I was like, if he'll fund it for me, then I might as well just do that. I'd never heard anything back for like 2 months, just kind of went silent. So I reached out again about a month ago. He said, yeah, I'll talk to him. And I hadn't heard anything back again. So about like 2 weeks ago, I went ahead and I found out who the owner of the of the property was, and I just called him myself. And after talking to him, he had never heard nothing back from the realtor about it. He had never relayed like the information on like how I wanted to go about things. And I told him that was the same thing on my end. Like he never got back to me about what he had said. And I was like, if that's something you want to talk about, then he's like, yeah. He's like, we can set up and go out to lunch. So we're going out to lunch here in about 2 weeks and sit down and discuss and hopefully walk away with having a property.
Dude, that's awesome. And then that's like the passion is there and your determination and perseverance. That's how you're going to be successful. And like, that's
Yeah.
exactly what you have. And it's amazing. I know you're going to do great things and I can't wait to see it all. But so, is there any
Actually,
last words you have for if there's anybody watching this struggling with what you struggled with? Like, do you have any advice for them?
yeah. So number one thing is don't be afraid to ask for help. Um, it might seem scary and like embarrassing even like to ask for help or to even let anybody know like what you're dealing with, but I guarantee you that those people would much rather hear what's going on than you know not telling anybody and either overdosing or committing suicide or anything like that. Somebody would much rather hear your problems than have to go to your funeral. um, and also anybody can do it. I mean, I was honestly, I probably shouldn't be here. Like I overdosed a handful of times, um, and I'm still here. So, I mean, tomorrow's a new day. If it's not today, you can only have tomorrow to turn it around. Or, and recovery for some people, it means it's not instant. You know, you might be sober for a couple months and you relapse because something happens. It happens to people. But the thing is, you just need to continue going. Like it doesn't matter how many times you fall down; it matters how many times you stand back up and like keep going. So you know, they just I can't stay down. So
100%. Everyone, Austin is walking proof that you can overcome this addiction or anything else that's going on in your life. He's literal walking proof of hope and have faith in whatever you're dealing with. Thank you so much for showing up today and listening to this episode. I'm so grateful that you are here, and I understand that your time is valuable, so I hope I was able to add some value to your life. I see you working to be the best version of yourself. Never give up and always have faith in yourself. I love you all so much.